the guy has to initiate, point blank period. Most men have to initiate. If they don't, they're not getting a DM. They're not getting anything.
Okay. May I ask the panel a question as well?
Well, let me just add to that, and then you can ask.
Of course.
So, the burden of initiative is on men at almost every single step along the way. Generally speaking, are there some women that approach guys? Sure. Are there some women that go for the first kiss? Sure. Are there some women that will carry the conversation and try to set up a date and plan it and meet me here, I'll do this? Are there some women that pay for dates? Sure. However, it's not the majority. So we have to look at what's happening generally speaking. So as a guy, typically the burden is on you to, let's say it's on a dating app. You're going to have to maybe send the match. You're going to have to send the first message. You're going to have to carry the conversation there. You're going to have to ask for the number. You're going to have to plan the date, set up the date, pay for the date, and then move things forward physically. So there's all kinds of logistical things. Okay, how am I going to try to get her back to my place? Okay, how do I close the physical distance? How do I go for the first kiss? Most women don't initiate first kisses. Some do, but I'm assuming most of you, your experience is the guy goes for the kiss first.
No. And that's where I was going to pose a question to the group.
Okay,
Right,
sure.
Just in general, how many of you guys have initiated dates or intimacy with a partner and been that person?
That's not a good question. The question should be, more often than not, who is initiating? It doesn't matter if once you saw some really hot dude and you asked him out on a date. The question is, more often than not, of your relationship and dating experience, have you initiated? And for most women, the answer is no.
Yeah, mine would be no.
Here, we'll go around the table. Here, let's start over here. Go ahead.
Wait, what was the question? Like,
Of all the times you've been on a date, you've hooked up with a guy, you've been in a relationship, like, who initiated?
Majority.
so
You guys say into the mic, please.
I would say, relationship-wise, I have initiated most of them.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Most women will initiate the relationship conversation. I'm talking about the initial stages of courtship.
Yeah, getting to
So-
the relationships, the initial. I'd say I definitely was the one to go up to the person or
Pursue
yeah,
this relationship.
Really?
pursue them. Yeah,
So you went for the first kiss.
yeah, I did.
I don't believe that.
Stop the cap.
In one of my
That's
relationships.
such.
In one of the
You're
relationships.
not going to believe us no matter what we say, so I don't see a point in answering this.
So
Your
okay.
perspective has been thoroughly ingrained into yourself.
No,
So-
this is just the reality. This is just
But why
reality.
are you asking us if you're just going to call bullshit?
I do think men are
Bro.
Why bother
more
asking?
It's
pursuers
ludicrous. It's ludicrous
than
to
women.
say.
I agree with what you're saying,
Like,
but
it's-
I also agree
Yeah,
with it.
it's absurd to say that. Generally speaking, like for example, let's take the first kiss for example. That's something that the man initiates.
I agree with
Like-
what you're saying. Like most of the time, it's the men.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like for you, I mean, maybe you guys are outliers on this, but like most men's experience, most women's experience is the guy initiates, for example, the first kiss.
But is that actually a
I
lot
would
of
agree with
work?
that.
Like you said, that's a lot of work. Is that a lot of work? Like talking to a girl and getting her number and taking her on a date or
Well, I mean-
initiating the date? It's like,
Yeah, I would say so.
oh,
Because we face the burden of rejection. It's it's a
Oh.
very privileged position to say, "Oh, is it a lot of work?" Well, we're the ones that are putting ourselves out there to be rejected.
Okay.
And throughout the course of the initial stages of dating, there are like dozens of potential points of rejection that men face, from approaching you to asking for your number, asking for a date, setting up the date, dealing with flaking. Okay, moving things forward. So, do you want to go back to my place? No, not really. Going for the kiss, trying to, if you want to move things forward from there, taking the top off, whatever, I'm sure your imagination can figure out the rest.
if you think
Have you
it's
ever turned down a
work-
guy for sex?
me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
All
that's
the
a point
time.
of rejection.
Yeah, but I mean, life goes on.
Yeah, it's not a big deal, but I'm just saying, like, The burden falls on men, and a lot of men struggle to navigate these dozens of potential points where men can be rejected.
How do you think they can learn to navigate it better?
I mean, through practice,
Okay.
trial and error, I suppose, but I don't object to women taking on some of the burden on this front.
Okay, wait.
But women don't, and they don't need to, because they can just find a guy who will.
Well, they do, just not the majority, right?
What do you mean?
You said women don't take on the burden, but these girls are saying that they have done that. So it does happen, you're just not likely, right?
Generally speaking, I would say most women don't initiate.
But do you think it's impossible for them to?
No, of course not.
Okay.
Women have initiated with me,
Uh-huh.
although it's rare.
Did you reject them?
I was about to ask, have you ever rejected somebody?
Not as frequently as I've been rejected.
Okay,
but
but
yeah,
it's
I've
happened.
rejected. Yeah, sure.
Okay. So I think everybody needs to learn to navigate rejection. If you can't handle rejection, then that's a personal issue.
Women don't really need to, though. Like, you can move as a woman. If you want, you can just sit back and let guys come to you. You don't
Okay.
necessarily have to navigate rejection, because you can pick amongst the men or deal with the men that will take all the initiative. Whereas most men don't have that option. Maybe really like attractive guys can do that, but most men do not have the option to, let me just sit back, let me just go to a bar and just wait for a girl to come up to me.
Okay.
99 times out of 100 as a dude, like say an average dude, if you go out to a bar or a nightclub and you just stand there at the bar, ain't no chick talking to you the entire night.
So what's the point you're trying to make here?
Well,
Should we feel sorry? Like what do we do about that?
Well, we're talking about whether dating and relationships
So-
and sex is easier for women to attain.
So point made. It's easier for women, but
Yeah.
who fixes that? What is there to be done about that?
I'm sorry.
I don't really have a solution to that.
Okay.
I'm acknowledging the reality of the dating landscape.
I think what you're getting at is that it's making men not want to date anymore. And that
Sure.
it's
Because they're tired of giving effort, you think?
I think it's
well,
the
I hear you, but
rejection.
I feel like that's like a moving target. But like I stated that like the woke feminist culture, I think, is making it harder for men and confusing men and not understanding how to approach women nowadays. I mean, I feel that in like friendships with women. Like it's really hard
How
for me
so?
to like get on the same level with
Eric, can
the
you close
younger
the door?
generation.
Oh, I was just asking if Eric could.
You find it hard to connect with other women your age,
No, women younger than me.
younger than you?
Like new culture that I'm talking about.
Do you think that's like
32.
a generational thing?
Kind of, but I also think it's just like politics and just how things are now.
What do you mean?
Like woke culture and things that have just like sprung up within the
define
last
woke
like 10
culture
years.
though. Define woke culture. Like what about a woman that you met who was younger than you? What about her would signal woke? I can't connect with her.
Well, I think it's a lot with the feminist movement as well, and just feeling superior over, like, I forget the woman's name that was here, but like thinking like she deserves more because she's a woman, and I just don't agree with that.